I'm disgusted. I'm pissed off that he's not getting more shit because of who his dad is. But I also feel like maybe the concussion had a part of it, but he's got to pay up. This kid has got to go to prison for this one, in my opinion. But he won't. He'll probably get probation for aggravated assault.
Welcome, everyone. We are back with another episode of the Wrestling is Shitty podcast. I am Dr. Legend, joined as always with my esteemed colleague, 2 minutes to midnight.
You know and I know that you are only half the man that I am, and I have half the brain that you do.
Rest in peace, Sid. Yeah, I think it was like last week was the 2-year anniversary of his death. I had forgotten he died.
You know what? I watch that Sid Vicious clip whenever I'm angry, and it just makes me happier. It makes me feel better about myself. So.
No, man. You know what's weird about that? Everyone talks about Sid now. Oh, he's a lovely guy. He's a sweetheart and everything. All I remember is the scissor incident with Arn. Like, you mean this guy that stabbed Arn Anderson 17 times with a pair of scissors? Yeah. He's a sweetheart. Okay.
Yeah, I know.
But what a week of wrestling news we've had, guys. I want to thank all of our wonderful new subscribers for joining us in. We appreciate that. We actually love the feedback we've been getting on our YouTube shorts and our TikToks. Thank you so much for the comments and the likes. Much appreciated, guys. And we would so love it if you guys hit that like button for us, subscribe, and please, this helps us get our names out there, keeps the show going, and this is just something fun for me and Midnight to do once a week, and we would love it to keep this going and get as many ears as possible, because we love the discussion, we love talking about wrestling, and that's why we're doing this show together, because we love talking about it with each other. So thank you guys for tuning in, and we hope you guys enjoy this show. So a lot to talk about. We have Clash in Paris coming up this weekend. Today, guys, it's Friday, the time of recording. We typically record these shows on Friday nights, so usually right after SmackDown ends. So we got a lot of stuff. Honestly, let's you want to just jump right into it and tackle things?
Let's do it.
All right, turn the Boomertron on. All right, so a couple of fun things that came up I just want to quickly talk about here because it came across my attention. All right, who could be the best main eventer, Ethan Page or LA Knight?
Well, I'm actually going to be leaning towards Ethan Page because I think LA Knight's time as a main eventer, his peak has already came and went, and they didn't see anything in him. He had his meteoric rise, and he kind of tapered off. And I think right now Ethan Page has more potential than he does, but there might be a second coming. Everyone always has second comings. Jericho had one in 2008, so you never know. But right now, if I had to pick one, I think Ethan Page could do it.
It's funny you mentioned the Jericho thing, because Jericho completely overhauled his character.
Yes.
I mean, people love LA Knight for who he is. I don't know why. I don't care less about LA right now. From the clips I've seen of Ethan Page, I'm a fan of him. I think he's great on the mic. He's really good with his expressions and emotions. I've seen a couple of his matches. He seems solid enough in the ring. So, I would have to agree. And the first reply over here agrees by far. So they must have saw my opinion on old LA Knight, and they were like, "Yep, that's definitely." This is something I saw that I was floored. So Dominic Mysterio said that he loves the War Games match Survivor Series, but he thinks it would be cooler to do a traditional 5-on-5 Survivor Series tag match with Raw, SmackDown, NXT, and AAA. And I thought, like, that is a fantastic idea, because originally Survivor Series, the concept of it was, well, Vince wanted to screw with NWA, so he made the Survivor Series to come on before the Starrcade pay-per-view. So he just put together, said, we're going to do it like completely abhorrent to any storyline that was going on at the time. Yeah, they were talking about stuff, some of the teams intermingled, but it had nothing to do with storyline. There was nothing on the line. It was just a bunch of tag team matches. It was a cool concept initially, but it really grew tired and stale. Because after a while, you're like, why am I going to watch these matches that mean nothing when I could see like matches, like title matches and stuff that mean something? And I think this is a brilliant idea.
I think it's a great idea too. However, the war games with the double cage, I think because see, if you do 5 on 5 with 4 promotions, that's 20 wrestlers, and you can't fit that many wrestlers in a traditional ring. So I think doing the war games with cross promotion, I think it would be great to see, the AAA stars going after the Raw guys, and then NXT guys going after the SmackDown guys, and hey, even get the ladies involved too. But I don't know how it would work in just because see the traditional Survivor Series matches, they're just regular wrestling matches. The War Games adds that element and it kind of that nostalgic element. Because remember, it's what Dusty Rhodes created, right? And it's over. I mean, Survivor Series has the last 2 years have been great. But I think adding AAA and NXT is a brilliant idea. I just don't know if it would work in like a regular wrestling ring with 20 people. They need a double cage for that one.
Well, I agree. I don't think they should get rid of the War Games match. I think that should be reserved for whatever the main eventers are doing to help push those storylines. I think that's good and that should stay. But I do think they should add that in as like either a mid card match or an opener to entice or showcase more talent. And the matches don't really mean anything story wise. So any talent that comes in from another promotion can take a loss and doesn't mean as much as it would in a storyline match. But you are incorrect, sir. They have fit 20 people in a Survivor Series match. The first one, when it was 5 on 5, they did 5 on 5 with tag teams. So they had 5 tag teams versus 5 other tag teams in the 87 Survivor Series match. There was 20 guys in there. Fortunately, though, the rule was when your partner got pinned, you were eliminated. The partner was eliminated too. So there wasn't freaking, 19 falls in that match.
Yeah.
That would have been
No, that'd
crazy.
be crazy.
But
No, but I think that they would I think that if you have that many people, especially the NXT and AAA, you're gonna need that extra ring because the whole match, instead of just the traditional tag matches, let it be a spot fest. Kind of like when they added like Jordan Grace to the Royal Rumble, like just let these guys showcase what they can do, let the fans see it and go, okay, that worked. Just have fun with it. But I think they need more room than just one ring.
yeah, I would say what because we've seen Raw versus SmackDown Survivor Series matches. What if they did Raw and SmackDown versus TNA and then NXT versus AAA?
Ooh.
And they did just a 5 on 5 or a 4 on 4. Just two of those matches in there just to showcase some talent and have some fun, like a preemptive Rumble. Because Rumbles are usually good for showing off young talent or newer guys and yada yada. But Dominic, genius. I want to see this now. Like I honestly I would watch a Survivor Series match now to see matches like this because like the Rumble, you always get to see your ideas, who's gonna be there, and it's fun to see so many guys. You're gonna see a ton of stars in that ring. Why not do it at Survivor Series where they have more opportunities to showcase the actual in-ring talent? Um all right, this one kind of irked me a little bit. They are talking about Raws beginning 1 hour earlier now, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, starting September 15th, 22nd, and 29th. I don't know if this is a full permanent change, but to me and you, I mean, we're West Coast guys. This hurts because I'm still at work when these shows go live. I'm no longer home and can enjoy the show. So I don't know where the decision came in, but the idea is they're trying to get in an hour early before Monday Night Football. So if they're like, well, I'm already committed to watching Raw, I'll finish Raw and then watch football after.
So this is strictly a move for the East Coast people, because the East Coasters for pay-per-views and for most primetime stuff, they have their start times are like 8, 9 o'clock at night for some stuff. I mean, I had people telling me they would stay up till 1 o'clock watching UFC pay-per-views, and I this is clearly to one combat Monday Night Football, but those East Coast people have been kind of suffering for a long time, and then us on the West Coast, like for the most part, ever since I started watching wrestling after I've had a wife and kids, I always have to watch the replay because there's no way I can watch it live when I've got kids around at like 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon. So for me, it's whatever. I don't know how it's going to affect the West Coast, but definitely the East. They're targeting that East Coast market. They're trying to make sure the East Coasters can watch Raw and then watch football. But I don't know how it's going to play out.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but to you, does it always seem like the East Coasters appreciate the product more than the people on the West Coast?
Yes, for one, there's more people on the East Coast, and East Coasters tend to like they still have WrestleMania parties at bars in the mid upper Midwest and East Coast. So yeah, I would because see the West Coast fans in general, you know, I hate to say it, we're not the greatest fans. We're really not. The best fans are in for wrestling are in New York, Chicago, those markets, Boston, Philadelphia, and there's just more people and they watch more. They watch more sports than people on the West Coast. That's why on ESPN they cover the Red Sox and the Yankees 10 times more than they cover anybody else because that's who's watching.
I have to say, we've been to live events on nearly every time zone, and the best one was definitely the East Coast. Like, hands down,
Yeah.
you couldn't beat it. But again, it's hard to beat ECW One Night Stand 2006. That was a crowd. That was a crowd that should go into the Hall of Fame for that
We
night.
should we
Yeah,
created so many things that are still going on today.
yeah. Um, but I don't know if this is going to stick, but it sucks. But again, I'm not sweating over it because it's not a product anymore. I don't think that's necessarily you have to keep watching live. Like before, it was really a necessity because you were like, I need to know what's going on now. I want to watch it live. And now it's like, well, with the internet and social media and stuff, I can catch a lot of the highlights and see, oh, okay, that looks good enough. I'll watch the full match later. Like, I watched enough. I don't think I need to go in.
Aren't you forgetting one thing? There isn't another Monday Night Wrestling program competing against Raw.
Oh, jeez.
If there was a wrestling program that had some balls and would
Oof.
go head to head with Raw, maybe I would tune in. Maybe I would make the time. But yeah,
Uh, and this is something I heard about just a couple days ago. Cody Rhodes has been spotted in Australia beginning filming on the upcoming Street Fighter film, which is also featuring WWE talent Roman Reigns in the role of Akuma. Cody is playing Guile in this, which I think is a fun cast. I think it's good. But what gets me weird about this is why book your top guy to win the belt before he's going to be gone for 60, 90 days doing a movie.
well, I think that kind of like the Brock Lesnar situation, if he can get away from filming for like once or twice a month to cut a promo or do a quick match, maybe it's okay. But I mean, we're not in the mid 80s, late 80s where Hulk Hogan basically had to wrestle 4 nights a week to keep the profits going. They kind of don't need him to wrestle every single night. He just doesn't need to. And maybe he needs a break. I don't know if they're going to take the title off of him, but they definitely had to take the title off of Cena and they had to put it on somebody. But clearly they know something we don't. And maybe he doesn't need to be, maybe he doesn't, even though it's usually a 60 to 80-day shoot, does he need to be there all the time? No, not necessarily, unless he's in every scene.
But I mean, this is the kind of shit they gave Roman Reigns for being the longest running champion, but he would only defend his belt 12 times a year. In the same
Well, that
sense, this is your champion. Why'd you have him beat Cena? Like, he could go off without being a champion and film a movie. It wouldn't hurt him.
I think that they're taking a page out of like the UFC big fight atmosphere playbook. If Roman Reigns defended his title 400 times, you would just be like, okay, he's just going to keep winning. Like every title defense should mean something. They should build up to each title defense. And I think it's better that they're not defending it 400 times a year because I mean it would just get stale. I mean it's like okay, Roman's going to defend the title at SummerSlam, or John Cena's going to defend it against Cody, and it means something, and maybe we'll see a title change. But it's like Roman's going to Cody's going to defend the title on Raw. Yeah, he's losing the belt for sure. no way. He ain't losing that belt. And why should I watch?
I do agree with your point. You did bring up a good point, like the big fight atmosphere. In defense of what I was saying, if I were a Cody Rhodes fan and I bought a ticket to SmackDown, I'm begging to see one of my favorite stars. And now you're telling me I can't
Yes.
see him for 60 or 90 days now, and he's the champion? I would feel bummed. Why would I go buy a ticket? You're telling me now, SmackDown, Cody Rhodes fans, guys, don't bother buying a ticket for the next, 3 months, because Cody's not going to be there.
That didn't cross my mind. That's actually a fantastic point, and I wonder how it's going to affect houses, because remember, Cody is the number one merchandise seller, both in the shop and on tour. So, is it going to affect his merchandise sales? Is it going to affect his the WWE's drawing power, especially for maybe some of those live events he may have attended? Yeah, that's a great point.
Yeah, we're going to come back to this, but one thing we're going to start talking about, and something that we drew a little heat for back in our other show, Karrion Kross and Scarlett have just arrived and made their surprise entrance in GCW, and it's very appropriate for Karrion to work in an organization called Garbage Can Wrestling. So I hope him and Scarlett, wish them the best. They have a good time. Here, let's play a little quick.
More of these individuals with Matt.
It looks like they're in a bingo hall. or
what on earth is happening, Mose?
Flea market. Better than the barbecue I thought he'd be looking at.
I mean, they got quite a reaction from the 200 fans in attendance in the parking garage.
Dude, that is a parking garage. It is a parking garage. I don't know what's worse, a barbecue or a parking garage.
But again, I have nothing against Karrion Kross. I wish him the best in his career. I would love to see him succeed. My my take has always been against the IWC and the fans pushing this guy and saying like, oh, you should do this, you should do that. WD, like, these are people, you guys are fans, and I get it. Me and Midnight are also fans, so we get heated and stuff, but we also understand that this is a company and this is a business, and they make these decisions way higher level. There's sometimes they make a decision and they get it wrong. It's rare, but it does happen. Cody Rhodes is an example of that. They didn't know what to do with him, so Cody left, made a name for himself, and tripled his value in a few years that made WWE pay him more money to bring him back. So if Karrion can do something
put the
like
belt on him.
exactly. If Karrion can do this, more power to him. I would love to see him try. I don't know if
maybe
it's
he
gonna
gets
happen.
more he might get more creative freedom if he goes to like AEW, or maybe TNA picks him up. You never know. I just think that I think that the most important thing for Karrion right now is to, like you said, up his value. And working at a GCW event, okay, I get it. He needs a payday, but he should really be looking towards, rebranding himself, or just getting his name out there and doing some good work instead of just showing up at a parking garage. Because I feel bad for the guy, I really do.
I honestly think him showing up here is a huge mistake. It's an undervalue to himself. If he has waited, really melted and like built up his return to some company, it would have generated some more interest in him as a performer. But him just showing up like a week after his contract's being released, this is how you can tell that WWE doesn't care. There was no non-compete clause in his contract to say, oh, you can't show up on TV or anywhere else within 90 days after you leave. They did not care that he left. You're like, all right, good luck. And I guess, maybe if he needed to go out and he needed to feed his family and he wanted to get work, he didn't want to say it. I totally understand that. But for me, I think showing up just to show up in a place, just to generate some interest and some social buzz. Like, look at this. He got 1 million views on this on social media. Awesome. I bet he's super happy about that. How does that translate to dollars? And more people, and I think more people are interested in just hearing that he's back somewhere, he's somewhere else, and that's it. And the buzz will die off and they won't look back at him. They're just like, oh, okay, he went to this, he's working at this company now, and no one cares. It's GC. Like, look, what does GCW stand for? I had to look it up before I came here, and I just saw GCW. It's like, oh, look, Garbage Can Wrestling.
Well, the thing is that right now, if AEW picked him up and put him on TV as soon as possible, that's actually better for him. Strike while the iron is hot. But I wanted to go back to what you said about how Cody got over. Look how long it took the WWE audience to embrace Roman Reigns. It took them 8 years to embrace him because that the WWE audience wants they need to see you for a long time, and we've talked about this before. He needs more time, and this is a good thing for him. Go out there, see what's out there, bet on yourself, sign with the AEW, TNA, wherever you need to go, go, but work hard, and he could be successful. But he's not there yet.
You hit the nail on the head with, take your time. Stone Cold Steve Austin cut the promo of his life June 1996. He did not become WWF champion till March 1998. Okay?
2 years.
That much of a build-up. They had to cultivate him, build him up with the fans, and give them that. This guy cuts one promo after WrestleMania, and people are going bonkers for it. And what did he do afterwards? Where's the build-up? He did nothing. And it's a shame. I don't want to look at him and go, oh, F this guy, his guy sucks or whatever. But I remember the exact thing I said. I said, oh, wow, this guy, he's got an edge to him. I like this. Let's see what he does. You're not going to cultivate a fan base and get people to care about you if you don't do anything. The only people that cared about Karrion Kross were the, few dozen people that saw his promo on social media and failed to watch him on TV. They didn't go to the events and cheer for him. Raw was silent in Quebec City, a very smart, marquee crowd, and it was proven. So, Karrion, I think this is a bad move for him. And you know what? If the fans at GCW embrace him, and I would love to be proven wrong here about Karrion Kross. I would love to, because I don't like wishing failure on anybody, but I will gladly talk about what's a good move and what's a bad move. And I think this is 100% a bad move here.
It's kind of like when Matt Hardy went to ROH after he got fired in 2005. It literally did nothing for him. He had actually to go back to WWE. Luckily, they brought him back, but it's like it did nothing for him. And this is not going to do much for him. But like I said, I hope I'm wrong. I hope he becomes a star, and I hope he does what Cody does, because Cody could not be where he is now if he didn't leave WWE. There's no way that he stays there and becomes American Nightmare. He had to go. He had to leave and come back. Maybe this is Cross's story.
I had no idea Matt Hardy went to ROH. That's I thought he just sat on his ass for a few months until WWE called him back.
No, he went to ROH
Wow.
for like a couple of shows, I think.
Well, just to clear the air here, and so did Cross. Cross comes back and said, here, as he's playing the smallest violin, or a violin, that this is not a WWE work. And they've been kind of clever in how they're doing works, with the whole Seth Rollins injury angle and stuff like that. I don't think that someone like Karrion Kross is worth the effort of this being a work. Like, WWE flirted with this stuff all the time, one of them being Brian Pillman. They brought him in as the loose cannon. That's a whole other situation. I know they were very, very in control of that, not as much as control of WCW should have been, but they were very controlling of Brian, what he can do, what he can say, but they were a fan of the gimmick. I know they're not doing this with Karrion Kross, because I don't think Karrion Kross, but you know what? If they gave him a similar gimmick, like calling him a loose cannon and doing something like have him go in there and interrupting, that's what they should have fucking done with this guy. Go in and start interrupting people's matches. I'm not on the card. I'm going to keep doing this stuff until I get on the card.
Thank you. Disrupt the ecosystem and you will stand out, just like Austin did.
I fixed Karrion Kross in 5 seconds. There you go, IWC. You're welcome. Oh, boy. Okay. Well, speaking of crowd reactions, Roman Reigns cut a promo on Raw mentioning Cody Rhodes' name, and the crowd had a reaction. So let's play it.
But Cody predicted it a year and a half ago. Interesting.
Is the Cody Rhodes experiment over? I mean, this is hard to hear, but
No. Okay, so here's the thing. After John Cena in 2005 got that backlash, um, and same thing with like Roman Reigns, it's almost like people want to build you up, and then once you win, they want to knock you back down to reality. And tell me what Cody's doing that's worthy of a booing. Is he putting on shitty matches? No, he's not. When he won the title at WrestleMania, his first defense was against AJ Styles, and he put on, quite frankly, one of the best matches of the year. He had a great match with John Cena at SummerSlam. His promos need to be tweaked a little bit to take off that white hat babyface thing that he's got going on. But I'm sorry, I'm getting a little tired of the fans just shitting on things just to shit on things because they want to see change or knock somebody down. That's my soapbox moment on Cody. I think Cody's doing great. He's selling a lot of merchandise. He's drawing a diverse crowd of people, and he's putting on great matches. So, sometimes the fans can get it wrong too, and in this case, they are.
I think you're thinking like Vince McMahon circa 20 years ago. Cena, John, doing fine. Merch is selling, and your matches are good enough. He's definitely not wrestling as good as Cody is, but we have to remember, being a white babyface, a pure blood baby, is the hardest thing to do in pro wrestling to get people to love you. We are 40 years removed from Hulkamania, the peak and pinnacle of the white meat babyface. That is the idolization of Hulk Hogan, just a white meat babyface character. Then they started to turn on him when that shtick got old, and that's what they did with a lot of other people. Bret Hart is not and was never a white meat babyface because he always had an edge to him, because he was like, look, I'm proving to myself that I'm the best, and I'm going to prove to everyone that I was the best. So he's not a white meat baby.
Bret was vicious in the ring.
Exactly.
Though. He was vicious.
John Cena went from the doctor of thugonomics, trash talking and telling people
Hustle,
down
loyalty,
stuff, right?
Respect, yeah.
And then they turn him into a white meat babyface. And the thing about the character they loved went away, and so that's why people started to boo him, because Smarks loved John Cena back in 03, 04 when he was.
Oh,
when
yeah.
He was. They loved it, and they wanted him to win the championship. What they didn't want him to do was change his character. Now, Cody is in a unique situation because Cody came in still the same white meat babyface before he was a champion, and then after. And I think this goes back to what we were saying about champions and chasers. Some wrestlers are better as champions, and some of them are better as chasers. And Cody hasn't proven himself quite yet which denomination he's falling under, because when he was chasing, people were really behind him, and they were like, we want to see him win the title. We can't wait for him to see him win the title. And then he wins the title and everyone explodes. They're happy. This is an incredible moment. And the idea is, okay, what does Cody do now? Does he prove himself as a champion, or is he lamenting as a chaser? And like you were saying, he's had fantastic matches with great wrestlers, but the motif of champion and chaser isn't about the match quality. It's about the stories you tell. Bret Hart, God bless him, always told fantastic stories in the ring and always had great motivation. Even if he was with whatever opponent he was facing, he would put the motivation in the match. Look, I got to prove to this guy where he's bigger than me, I can still beat him. I got to prove to this guy that he's stronger than me, I can still beat him. So he always had a good motivation while he was champion to beat somebody. Cody Rhodes hasn't enough time as champion to build up that level of trust with the audience, and I think they're turning on him because there's no edge to him. He's just kind of, okay, this is the Hulk Hogan thing where he's just wrestling matches and winning. There's nothing of great substance story-wise to do, which is a shame because of how well he performs in the ring.
I agree with you. I think that I do think that I have to pivot to my point about, in general, people like to build people up and knock them down. And I'm so glad that you mentioned Bret Hart because honestly, name WWE champions that had title reigns that the fans didn't start to turn on of them. There was two of them, Hogan and Bret. They're the only guys that when they had the belt that everyone wanted to see them win, even though they were the champion. And that's it. And it was because of one, Hogan, just, obviously Hulkamania was so big. And for Bret, just like you said, um, even though he was the champion, he was kind of always the underdog because of the way the opponents they had lined up for him and the way that he wrestles matches. However, Cody Rhodes is also he's always up against the wall as well. He was up against the wall against AJ Styles. He was up against the wall against John Cena and lost, and then he regained the belt in a great match. I don't know what else they want. I mean, but I agree that he needs an edge. I just don't know if him needing an edge is enough to boo. I think the fans are wrong.
I th- I think it would serve Cody better if he had some kind of surrounding storyline, kind of like the bloodline. Something following him, something nagging at him, something
He
to
needs a
keep him
vice.
going every yeah, exactly. To keep him going every week because he's just being portrayed as Cody Rhodes white meat babyface. And
Yeah.
that's not a story like that you can probably eat that story a couple times before it starts tasting bland. Before you already get the flavor of it and you want to have something else. And I can understand, like for me, when I hear the audience boo, I don't think it's because of their hating Cody Rhodes. I think it's more of a frustration of like, well, A, he's not here, and B, what would he do if he's here? It's the same stuff we've seen. Like people were giving him flack for taking out Kevin Owens at the Rumble when he was super aggressive and hardcore, and then not showing that same level of aggression to John Cena. It seemed like, where's that edge you had, my friend? Like, where'd it go? And I think that was a part of it, and the match being kind of meh. Like Cody was better than that, and I think their SummerSlam match was better. Still wasn't a fan of that match, but I think they're getting tired of Cody Rhodes, and there's a frustration level building. It's not that they want to not see him anymore. I think they want to see a change.
I think so too, and I will backpedal a little bit. Do you remember the kitchen sink challenge at the San Francisco Creamery that Man versus Food and we tackled?
Absolutely, very tasty challenge.
Yeah, what happened towards like 3/4 of the way in for both Adam Richmond and us? What did we were eating all that ice cream? What happened? We
Well,
asked for French fries because we had palate fatigue and we needed something salty to kind of counteract all the ice cream we were eating. Even though it was delicious ice cream, after 10 scoops, we had to switch it up.
you know,
And I think, yeah, and I can see the fans wanting it. So I will play both sides on this one and say I think the fans need to cut him a break, but I also understand that they've got palate fatigue.
I will say I do not think it's time for a Cody Rhodes heel turn. No, I think it would be
No,
better built
no.
up a longer term run for it. And I disagree with Cena's heel turn. I think they should have turned Cena heel, but the way they did it was incorrect. And I think doing it now in response to something is a bad move. So I would love to see this built up for a year or two of Cody getting frustrated with the fans and then turning on them that way. Like I said, it's all about building stuff up. Okay, if we're starting to see the cracks here, let's expand on it, but do it slowly. Let it marinate for a while. When you're cooking food, you always pre-season your food. You marinate stuff. You get the better flavor out of it. You don't flash fry a steak without putting salt and pepper on it and then do a little bit afterwards. It tastes like shit.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Well, moving on. Now, this is something I'm going to leave to midnight over here because I'm not very familiar with it. But we have this situation with Jake Hager, formerly known as Jack Swagger in WWE. I do want to play this one clip because I think it's fantastic. This is how I first came across it, so I wanted to know more. And instead of looking into it, I knew Midnight knows a ton about this subject, so I wanted to ask him. But let's play this clip really quick.
Anyways, I always find a way to say this every day, so I think everyone should too. Say "fuck Tony Khan."
Huh? Midnight, explain.
So later on in this interview, I don't know if you're going to play it or not, but he talks about when the CM Punk situation went down. Jericho and Moxley and a couple other guys called an all talent meeting, and they were just trying to, like, smooth out the whole situation. And well, yeah, you're playing the details there. Essentially, what happened was um, Tony comes barging in, and it's just another bad reflection on Tony's leadership style. Um, he gets it wrong about Dax and Cash, and it gets cleared up later on with some text messages between FTR and Dax. But the thing is everything that Jack is saying about, or excuse me, Jake Hager is saying about Tony Khan, we've heard it before. This is not a surprise, right? Like, it's pretty clear that this kid is playing wrestler in an E-Fed, and he doesn't know what the hell he's doing, but he's got all this money. And um yeah, it's just a shit show. On the other end, he got it wrong with FTR, and he ended up apologizing to Dax via DM. But the thing is that this is one of those things where, one, he does say, I think it was Dax and Cash, so he wasn't sure. But also, the facts are usually the same, but sometimes we get the details wrong in real life. And I think that's the case here. Um, but overall, I don't know why Jake is is burning this bridge, and I don't know why he's holding on to it so tight. It was entertaining to kind of see yet another face of another side, another dimension of how bad Tony Khan is as a leadership role. Personally, I think he should take the role of, like, Tom Ricketts with the Cubs. Just be the owner and hire the right people to run the baseball operations for you, and you will win a World Series just like they did in 2016. And that's what Tony's got to do. Just sign the paychecks and hire the people to run it for you. And this is just another example of everything that's going on in AEW, but it's also an example of what you shouldn't do. And although entertaining, I think Jake needs to kind of move on and not burn bridges, because ultimately this isn't going to hurt Tony, because we already knew it, and Tony's not going anywhere. And two, this is only going to hurt Jake, who won't get hired by AEW ever again, and he's probably not going to get hired by WWE ever again. So, in closing, if you've got some gears to grind, maybe it's time to move on. And secondly, I love hearing stories about Tony Khan being a bad leader.
Well, I think Jake is completely out of the wrestling world. I think he owns a trucking company now, or he's a truck driver.
Yeah.
Like, he's doing something else entirely. So I don't think he cares. That's why he was saying everything he does. Another thing I want to mention, my knowledge of AEW is limited. I know a few things here and there. One thing I heard about, which I'm not a fan of, is a lot of their current talent are kind of stockholders or executive vice presidents, where they have influence over business decisions and storyline decisions. And this reeks of late 90s WCW, where too many of the talents, when you have an investment, an interest backstage, and you're invested in the product, and you are a in-ring performer, I think you need to separate yourself from those roles. I don't think it works when you're a wrestler and you're invested in the company and the way the product works backstage or whatever. That way you're affecting storyline decisions, you're affecting the way matches get booked, and everything, and you let your ego get ahead of you. I think talent and backstage has to be separate. I don't think you can fulfill both of those roles, and it doesn't work. It never does. I mean, look at the WWE Invasion angle. They had to make it about the McMahons. They couldn't let the two companies, which they could have essentially brought back a sort of NWO-esque vibe to WWF with an Invasion angle. They had to shoehorn Stephanie and Shane into the stories, because let's make it about the McMahons, the whole backstage thing, and it didn't work, and it failed miserably. I don't think their talent having a say in what goes on to the product is a good thing for AEW. I don't know why that decision was. I don't know why it's continuing, but it's showing, and it's being damaged in the product. And you AEW fans, if you're out there, can bitch and moan all you want, but I watched a clip of Adam Copeland and Christian doing a show or whatever in front of 400 fans. The same kind of setup that was famous for WCW Saturday Night back in the MGM era. It was a nothing audience. So it's definitely hurting their product. They could have had an opportunity with the talent and the names they had to build up and be a proper rival. But when your talent is too invested in themselves as performers, there's no way they can make a sound business decision that'll affect your company wide, because I think there are some guys who could have done that, and I think Ric Flair is one of them, because Ric Flair's biggest shtick was always, how am I going to build up the next guy? Because for Rick, it's all about, I can build them up with my name if we fight and we can make good money. Ric Flair is it sounds dumb when I say this, but Ric Flair is one of the best losers in professional wrestling. Because
highest paid job guy ever, bro.
Right.
Highest paid job guy ever.
Yeah, he would lose match, but you would still want to see a Ric Flair match, because beating Ric Flair means something, and that's selling it.
And here's the thing. Don't you remember Ric Flair was the booker in the early WCW years? It worked back then when it was smaller, but in this specific case in AEW, it doesn't work. And seeing the Young Bucks all over the product, I mean, their shtick is stale. I think Kenny Omega's time is done. He could still put on some marquee matchups if you like gymnastics displays, but yeah, I mean, you just have the right people running if you have the booker who's the wrestler. That worked in the 70s, 80s, and maybe even the early 90s, but doesn't work today.
Tony, you gotta do a shift. There's no sizzle to your product that makes me want to watch right now, so good luck to you. And speaking of good luck to you and sizzle, let's talk about the card this weekend, the Clash in Paris. 5 amazing matches, and IWC, can't you wait to spend $30 a month on this wonderful program? Look at these incredible matches we have lined up. First, it's Roman versus Bronson Reed, because they took 2 guys who were in a tag match in SummerSlam. Now they got to do a singles match. Then we've got the Intercontinental Women's Title match, Becky Lynch versus Nikki Bella. Okay. Cena versus Logan Paul, which I caught the promo of. Did you catch the promo of it tonight?
I didn't. I missed it. Was it good?
It was pretty good. It was pretty good. You know what? I'm not a Cena fan. I'm definitely not a Logan Paul fan. I got choked up watching the Cena promo. I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah.
Sheamus versus Rusev. That came out of nowhere. I don't know where the build for that is, but I guess for me, it's like, well, we got to get an Irish guy in Europe on the card because they'll cheer him. And of course, the one match everyone wants to see, the fatal 4-way between CM Punk, Seth Rollins, Jey Uso, and of course, everyone's favorite jobber, LA Knight. Quick predictions. Let's go. Let's fire these off really fast. Who do you got for Roman Bronson?
I don't know if Roman's going to go over unless Bronson cheats somehow. So I'm going to go probably Bronson by some type of cheating mechanism.
I got Roman easily because I think it's going to be coming to the play into the event. Becky versus Nikki.
I think they're just going to keep the belt on Becky. Nikki just came back. She's not cutting good promos. She's a lot older than she was when she retired. So I think they're just going to keep the belt on Becky.
Yep, I 100% agree with that. Cena versus Paul.
Cena just did a job at SummerSlam, and I don't know if I think Logan Paul doing a job is more harmful to the product than Cena doing the job. So my guess is probably Cena does the job.
Really? A lot of people are saying that because this kid's on some kind of tear, but it makes me nervous because I really think there'll be a big backlash. Despite all of the time and effort that Paul has dedicated to working at WWE and the product and the performance, people don't want to see him in any main event or star capacity. He's great as a sideshow attraction, but to put him in a main event spot, I think it would turn away folks. That being said, I honestly think Cena's going over. I can't imagine this is going to be like a teaching moment for Paul. They want to give Cena some kind of. I think they're going to build up the Cena feel good moments and wins leading up to his final match where he does the job.
Yeah.
Sheamus versus Rusev.
Probably Sheamus, because remember, this Clash in Paris card is just to draw money. There's not going to be. They're going to do a lot of what we call gutless booking, where just book lowest common denominator, and I think I think Sheamus is going over.
I would say Sheamus is going over, but because how the things are going over in France right now, I think they would rather see Rusev go over. And finally, the only match that matters, the Fatal 4-Way. This is big. What do you think? Who's winning and who's doing the job?
They're not taking the belt off of Seth in France for a show like this. I think LA Knight does the job, or maybe CM Punk, to kind of continue that. Actually, yeah, I'm gonna twist it. I think Punk's gonna get pinned, and Seth's gonna keep pounding Punk. I beat you in Paris, and and he's just torturing Punk. So Seth retains, and he pins Punk.
I think they're building to a spot in the match, kind of like Owens, Orton, Paul at 40, where it was going to be Orton and Owens like beating up on Paul, and then they turn on each other. That's what's going to happen here, because Seth is the only quote unquote heel in this match, so it should be obvious that they're all going to beat him up and try to take his title. He is definitely going to take the win out of here. Who does the job? Knight would suffer the least if taking the job, but I think you're right. Storyline wise, it's better if Punk does it. So yeah. I would rather him take the job and push that storyline. I think it'd be more fun. All right, so the main event for this show. This is hard to talk about, guys. Like, I know we're kind of late in the game, and again, we film these once a week. So we let the story's been marinating on the thoughts and minds of some folks, and it's not even a big name promotion. We're talking about an indie wrestling production here, but it would behoove us to do. We've been chatting about it internally between each other, just kind of briefly going back and forth, and we even debated whether we were going to talk about it on the show or not. But I think it's been brewing in the minds of wrestling fans. A lot of wrestling names have been talking about this subject. So we wanted to kind of tackle it as well, and we wanted to see what the people who watch our show get their opinion on it, and kind of talk it out and talk with each other about what's going on. But I'd be surprised if you're a wrestling fan, you haven't heard of it. Quentin Rampage Jackson, the famous UFC fighter and former champion, his son streams on Kick, and his name is Raja Jackson, had an incident in an indie show in Southern California. Where instead of just talking about the big name, why don't we go through the timeline of events of stuff that happened. So Raja Jackson was streaming live via Kick. He was brought in by his friend, a professional wrestler named AJ Mana, and they went backstage to meet some of the wrestlers, and allegedly one of the wrestlers pictured here, named Syko Stu, saw the cameras and thought this was a production and it was a work and it was going to be some kind of storyline, and struck Raja Jackson in the head with an open can that caused it to fizzle and pop or whatever, and Raja did not take kindly to that, and he got very, very upset. I think if you watch the video, we're not going to play the video. It hurts. It's sensitive content. Anywhere else you publish it on YouTube or anywhere else, you can find it. It's easy to find. You've probably already seen it. I would rather not watch it again because it makes me sick to my stomach to see it. But again, so that incident happened, and Raja went back. He was talking, and one of the things that Syko Stu said, he goes, "Aren't you going to sell it?" Because he thought it was a work. Now, whether him and the guys back there had been drinking already, they were already drunk or whatever, I don't know. But there's no evidence on that, but it was talked about, and they chatted on, and allegedly on stream, him and Syko Stu made amends. He said, "I'm sorry, I didn't mean it," whatever. And so he asked Raja, said, "Look, if you want to get me back, why don't we do something in the ring together for your stream? Make it good, make it fun." Okay, and he agreed to that. And so they went backstage, and they were showing Raja in the stream was showing some stuff backstage, and AJ Mana, as they were talking about it, AJ was kind of like, "Don't worry, don't worry, you're gonna get your receipt in the ring with this guy, so save it for that." He was getting kind of upset, and actually, I will play this clip of right here. So this guy on the left is AJ Mana, and there is Raja. This is from Raja's stream on Kick.
I understand.
Yeah, another thing is, even when we are working like that, you don't fucking, you know
That's
what I
what I'm
mean?
saying. But he doesn't
So,
know him like that.
he don't. He's a fucking idiot. Hey. So when you run in on his shit, you fucking give him his receipt. You remember what a receipt is? Give him that fucking receipt. Don't tag his shit.
Okay, so there's AJ telling Raja, what to do. So give him the receipt, quote unquote. And so during Syko's match, Raja is sitting in the crowd, and he's live streaming, and he's talking with his fans, and he mentions to his fans, like, "Look, I'm gonna do something. Why don't you guys? Hey, if I get 50 subs, I will knock him out." And during this, his dad talks to him. I don't know if he calls his dad or his dad calls him, and Quentin says to him, like, because Quentin is a real fighter, guys. He is a beast of a man to beat the shit out of, physically a monster in the ring. So when he heard that his son got hit in the head by a beer can or whatever by guys in their underwear, he started to antagonize his son, like, "Oh, you're gonna let him do that to you? What are you gonna do about it? Huh? What are you gonna do about it?" And apparently this is Quentin's MO with his son, where he would tease him a little bit, egg him on, yada yada. So he is sitting in there, God, I hate to use this pun, but stewing in this decision. And finally, he goes in there and he tackles Syko Stu. Now, if you look at the size difference, we'll go back to the picture. Look at it. Syko Stu's definitely got 60 to 80 pounds on Raja, and he picks him up with relative ease. Well, it looks like relative ease, but Syko Stu jumped, because that's what you do in wrestling when someone's doing something. They knew this was the spot in the match. However, Raja does what looks like a half Alabama slam, half spine buster, but stiffly, and drives.
It knocks him out.
Knocks him out flat, and then begins to pummel him in the ring. And it takes several, not one, not two, several guys, wrestlers, to go in there to stop him. And he kept trying to jump on him to get him to stop, and he didn't let up. Afterward, he still wanted to go after him. In fact, during the altercation, he struck another wrestler in the eye with a punch because they were trying to hold him off. So afterwards, Raja bails. The police are called. Syko Stu's in the ring, completely laid out, and Raja runs off. And this is the most disgusting thing I think that happens. This is one of the things that upset me the most. They continue the fucking work of the match, and they pin Syko Stu. They don't stop it. They don't go, "Oh God, okay, this is whatever, the DQ finish, yada yada yada." By his unconscious body before they carry him off to the hospital. He has to look at this in the future, like if this is happening to him, because he doesn't remember any of it. And so afterwards, Raja is just fuming. He is upset. He is lamenting. He's like, he's venting about it. "I ain't no bitch," saying stuff like that. And it's blown up everywhere. Everyone seems to have an opinion on it. We're gonna touch on our thoughts on the matter, so I'm gonna leave it to you, Midnight, first. What did you thought when you first heard about it? What are your thoughts after getting some time reviewing all the statements, video footage, and things like that, and your take on the incident?
So I've known a lot about Raja Jackson. I've been a big fan of Quentin Jackson since his Pride Fighting Championship days in the mid 2000s, and his son is actually a professional mixed martial artist, and he fought amateurs on a card that Quentin promoted. That actually some friends of mine that ran some promotions up here in Sacramento helped promote. So we're kind of in the same world, so to speak. So I've followed Raja Jackson. My first thought was I was absolutely disgusted by this. There's just no place for this. I mean, 22. I mean, a professional MMA fighter going in there, and Stu is giving you his body, right? He's playing the work and you knock him unconscious with the slam, and then you knock half his teeth out, and they had a hard time waking him up. And Syko Stu is an older guy, so this type of injury could really affect him. Like this could have been, he could have died in that ring. I mean, 22 unanswered blows against a wooden ring. Um, Absolutely despicable, and there's no excuse for it. A couple of caveats that I did hear was, Raja is a trained fighter. He hasn't fought in a couple of years, but I heard that it was told. Rampage said that he did have a concussion, and we all know that it's a scientific fact that when you have a concussion, you're more irritable, you're more angry, you're more prone to act out, and your personality changes. I've had concussions before, it's true. And also, Raja is only 25, but he's been, training as a fighter for years. He's been fighting since amateur, since 2021. Who knows how much brain damage he's had. So I do have some, I can kind of see how he lost his cool and got pumped up, but it doesn't matter really. I mean, that's something that he needs to stop doing on his own, because clearly he can't control. If he gets a concussion, he can't control. It's like getting drunk and driving a car, right? Yes, you're drunk. You didn't mean to kill somebody, but you got to be held accountable for it. And next time, don't freaking drink. Well, if you can't control yourself when you have a concussion, stop getting concussions. And lastly, I am shocked that this isn't, even though it's blowing up, the biggest thing that kind of irritates me is I love Quentin Rampage Jackson. He's a colorful guy. He's got a great sense of humor. He's entertaining. He was a great fighter. He had that one little, mess up in, I think it was 2008, where he got arrested for driving erratically and crashing into a bunch of cars. But other than that, he's been pretty clean. And because his kid is involved and everybody loves him, his kid's kind of getting a free pass. And I think that's wrong. And that's what really bothers me about this incident. And also the fact that they pinned him bothered me. The only good thing that happened was after the match, they just stopped the show for the 15 people that were still there. But yeah, that's my little soapbox moment. I'm disgusted. I'm pissed off that he's not getting more shit because of who his dad is. But I also feel like maybe the concussion had a part of it, but he's got to pay up. This kid has got to go to prison for this one, in my opinion. But he won't. He'll probably get probation for aggravated assault.
Yeah, it's really rough. There's a lot of elements to this, and a few things I do want to talk about. So, what AJ Mana mentioned here about the receipt. In wrestling, guys, a receipt, I don't know why you guys know the term, but usually a receipt is when another wrestler stiffs you a couple times in the match, you get them back once to say, look, I'm being hurt, I'm getting us back on course, and let's be professional and keep doing business. That's the point of a receipt, okay? To get back at them, but to keep doing business. AJ here was telling him in that same vein, okay, get your receipt back. I don't think AJ meant go in there and unload 22 shots onto an unconscious man's head. And I know AJ now, he's been fired by the wrestling promotion. He no longer wrestles there, and he's been fired from his job. Fired by the wrestling promotion, I 100% understand. You brought him in, and then you egg him on to do this thing, and you don't watch him, you don't talk to him about it beforehand. That's another thing. This is some people are calling this a work. No, you guys, this is just top tier indie level bullshit. There's no control. The promoters are looking to make a buck, and they're trying to put together stuff, and they let the wrestlers do almost whatever they want. So this is on the promoter's fault for not scripting this, because you could tell it took after maybe about the 8th or 9th punch before any other person reacted in the ring and went, is this part of the show? Should I stop it? And that's when they started to come in and maybe think about, okay, and I think the first guy did pat Raja on the back, like, okay, let's slow it down here. It's not supposed to happen. And he didn't care. Okay, so that part of the receipt thing made me upset. I will say this, there is the take I 100% agree with, and I can't believe it's coming from this person. Okay, I don't know if you saw it. Did you see JBL's take on this?
I have not.
Oh my God. I don't have it pulled up, but you guys should check it out. Maybe I'll play it in the shorts for this clip afterwards. He said this, and I'm 100% agree with him. If right after Syko Stu hit him in the head with that beer can, and Rajab just punched him in the face and knocked him out then and there, it would have been, oh, fuck around and find out. You shouldn't have done that, Stu. What the hell's wrong with you? And they would have laughed at him. This kid would have tripled his followers on Kick, and it would have become a meme, and then none of this would have ever happened. Like, and I'm like, holy shit, you are absolutely right. But they let it marinate. Like we were talking about this whole show. Yeah. They let it build, and they egged this guy on. This kid got trolled by 12-year-olds in his own chat to commit a crime, and he fell for it. And it is, like you said, it's disgusting. It shouldn't have happened. Like, what the hell is he thinking? What were those wrestlers thinking, not knowing the spot, allowing a guy who's this, all these guys talk about protecting the business, protecting each other in the ring, and nobody talked about this spot, about this, what's going on, laying out the moves, laying out the script of what was going to happen. No one knew, and they allowed this. A lot of blame is to fall on them. And I know the promoters were like, they're telling their guys, don't talk to the police and don't talk to any lawyers yet. I know it's to protect themselves, but it's also to protect the company of this, because they could be potentially liable for this. And I believe this is also Rikishi's promotion, right?
Yeah.
He owns the school and he owns the promotion that runs this thing. Yep. And it's a terrible circumstance. And it's been what? The incident happened last Sunday. It's been 6 days almost, and we haven't had
no criminal charges.
No charges, not an arrest, guys. For you may not know, O.J. Simpson was not formally charged with the murders of Nicole Brown and Ron Goldman until 4 days after their bodies were found. Okay, that took 4 days, and I know it was a sensitive subject and whatever, and we're dealing with a murder charge, so I know it's a little bit more serious. But stuff like this happens, and I bet because it's in LA, they're like, okay, we're trying to gather evidence. What are we going to do? How are we going to present this? I fear that you are right, Midnight, and that nothing's going to happen. He's not going to go to jail while he should. Like, this is, how do you, I think because the whole publicity of this is the key thing. Yeah. Because how spread out is, I don't think you can't not send this kid to jail, because it looks bad on you publicly, especially your justice system. If it was an isolated incident with no cell phone footage, with no streaming, and people just talked about it, I think you could have gotten away with probation or something like that. Even if this poor guy, Syko Stu, he was an Army veteran, he had PTSD, and he did wrestling to kind of get over it, which to me, I think, like, okay, that's an interesting thing, but why would you go into professional wrestling with that kind of mentality where you could potentially get more injuries or even brain trauma from doing this stuff in the ring? So, but whatever it is, I guess he did it, and he was having a good time, and more power to. I wish him the best. I hope he has a full recovery. And it's just sad. Like, it's sad. I mean, we'll probably talk about this in future episodes. Not sure what's going to happen, what's going to go on, but man, I don't like talking about this part of wrestling. This is not something, like, honestly.
Well, to piggyback off of the JBL thing, JBL has a history of receipts, right? Like, he took he hit Meanie with a few live rounds at One Night Stand 2005, and then they brought Meanie back to wrestle Meanie on SmackDown. Now, could you imagine what would have happened if Blue Meanie took liberties with JBL in that ring for his receipt? What would have happened to Meanie?
Jeez, yeah, done.
Done, right?
Yeah.
And on the caveat, remember when he shoved his finger up Steve Blackman's butt in the airport, and then Steve Blackman just turned around and lit him up? You know, imagine if they had a match later on that evening and Steve Blackman took liberties with him in the ring. It's like, dude, like, to me, it's all bad. It's all bad because, like, if this was a scuffle in the back over a misunderstanding, but now Raja deliberately waited until he had Stu at his weakest, which was giving him his body, thinking it's going to be a work, and then just pummeling him. And it's all bad. This isn't good for anybody. It's not good for wrestling. It's not good for anybody. And the sooner that Raja just gets punished appropriately, the better.
Yep, I agree. And speaking of which, I know people are floating like what should happen to him. it's attempted murder, is it battery, is it attempted manslaughter? Well, I'm not a lawyer. Midnight's not a lawyer, guys, but I watched a clip from the YouTuber named by the Legal Mindset. If you guys haven't checked his channel out, it's fantastic. He goes over a lot of legal stuff that happens in the on social media and things like that. And what he mentioned was, he did mention the CTE issue for the defense. They said they could use that in his defense. If they were savvy, they would use that for his mentality to help lessen the severity of the charges. But one thing this isn't, guys, is not attempted murder. And I know you're like, well, he almost killed him.
Not attempted murder.
Murder requires the intent to kill, not the attempt to gravely harm. And in his stream, Raja kept saying, I'm going to knock him out. If he had said just in one instance, I'm going to kill him one time, okay, there was some intent, even if he was joking about it or just like heated about it. But if he said that, that could be it. And I think that may be causing the delay with the prosecutors. Well, how we're going to charge him? They're going to want us to charge him with attempted murder, but it's not. We know we can't get that conviction. I think they should play it. If I were the DA, I would play it smart and safe. Look, I think people are expecting him to be punished appropriately. Let's do what we can to achieve that best result. So we'll see what happens. We'll cover this story as it continues, and we'll see what happens, and we'll go from there. But that's about it for our show this evening, guys. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you guys have any questions for us, please leave us comments below or send us an email at winspodcastlive@gmail.com. We'll be happy to answer them on the air for you, get you guys some publicity on the show. But that's all we have for this episode, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in, and have a great week.
See you guys.